let's go ahead and watch this first video. It's from Level Cap Gaming. Can Star Citizen raise $1 billion? I think if the game never comes out, they absolutely will. If they keep going on the pace that they are, and then they will make money when the game releases. Raising and making is two totally different things. I think 1 billion's easy. What are they, 400 million off? The community keeps growing, and they don't put the game out. But if they keep doing things like they've been doing, they'll definitely be able to do it. That's just my initial thoughts, but it's an 8-minute video, so there's more conversation than just that. Now, I am going to warn you, because I was warned, there is a unreleased ship that was leaked in this video, apparently. I'm not going to say the name of it now. I'm not going to say even who it's from or whatever, even though it's pretty widely known. I've already been spoiled by somebody else's thumbnail, which pisses me off. So because I wanted to be surprised by the specific way it looks and whatever. So unfortunately, I already know, so I'm going to watch the video. But for anybody who does want to avoid that, don't watch this video, okay? Pretty simple. But Level Cap, can Star Citizen raise $1 billion?
Star Citizen is in the middle of the biggest sale of the year, and their multi-$1,000 spaceships are selling out in seconds. Cloud Imperium Games' funding machine is showing no signs of slowing down, and they seem to be well on course to break $100 million in funding this year alone. Will Star Citizen raise over $1 billion in funding before the multiplayer game is out? Honestly, at this point, it seems pretty likely.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, because Star Citizen is a mostly...
What does it mean, though? I think a lot of the conversation in our Star Citizen chat in Discord, there's a couple of gotcha game enjoyers there, and they point out that a lot of these games are making billions per year. So sometimes in a month, right? So it just doesn't matter. That number isn't as relevant as people this is $1 billion game. The difference is those games are profiting that money. This game is taking it and lighting it on fires most of the time, right? So that's kind of the relevance here, is that Star Citizen is literally at this point spent $500 million on its development, and this is what we got. So that's kind of the conversation, rather than these companies just profiting.
Open development game, we have real-time access to most of its funding, and we can even track how the game has funded in the past. And looking at the data, what you'll notice right away is that Star Citizen's funding is not slowing down. In fact, it's actually speeding up.
By the way, what is this? ccugame.app? What is wrong with you people?
In 2022, we saw a freakishly large boost in pledges for the game, growing the total players by nearly 1 million and topping out at around $113 million more funds raised. And at least for a while, it looked like 2022 might be an impossible figure to match. However, the ongoing sale is raking in tons of dough thanks to the new ship announcements and the giant ship sales, where the biggest, craziest, most expensive ships are selling out in seconds.
How much did the F8 make? That was their smartest move in terms of ship sales and recovering funding, because they sold a ship that was just what seems to be incredibly overpowered. I think people have come out with the ways to beat it and stuff like that, but to the average person, this ship is massively power creeping, and I had all my issues with it, and I still have the same issues with that. But can we really ignore the fact that they must have made a ton?
The most expensive ship being a $2,700 Javelin destroyer. Now, I know that figure sounds crazy, and honestly, it is. Those ships are reserved for the whales, players who have decided to drop silly amounts of money on growing their space fleets. However, the average Star Citizen player has bought in for a much, much lower price, with about
I don't know if he's going to do the math, but it's well over $100 is the average person's. Thank you, Sly-Fi, as well. I appreciate you. But the question for me is, who do you think is buying those big ships? There's an entire website that's dedicated to third-party selling and stuff now. Do you think it's just all regular players jumping and chomping at the bit to spend $1,500 on a spaceship that they've now told you when it's coming out, which is minimum a year away? I'm not sure.
$630 million raised so far and 4.9 million paying backers. The average price per player is around $128. And knowing that the funding for this game is also heavily lopsided towards the whales, it means that the majority of people have probably spent considerably less than $128 on the game, while the whales spend thousands to make up the difference. But of course, one of the best ways to keep the money rolling in is to bring in new players regularly, and with the promising Squadron 42 trailer and CitizenCon presentations kind of making the rounds on the internet this year, Star Citizen seems like it's comfortably raking in those new pledged dollars. And of course, speaking as somebody who wants to see Star Citizen succeed and achieve all of its insane goals, this is of course a good thing, especially since there was a time in which players thought Star Citizen might actually collapse in on itself. In 2017 and some of the surrounding years, there was a lot of FUD in the air. That's fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
That's weird. I never felt it then. That was when 3.0 came out, and it was like, they're doing it.
This was caused by many different stories and allegations surrounding the company, but one was documents showing CIG taking out a loan for the company. Now, I don't really want to get into all the details surrounding all the drama around CIG during these times, but it was basically a nest of...
They're taking loans all the time. What company doesn't leverage borrowing power?
Of accusations and interpretations that make it pretty hard to get any real concrete information from. But nonetheless, even I was scared that CIG might be in a bit of a pickle, as the company was entering a period of major content drought and deadline misses. And of course, once CIG starts to miss the deadlines, the rumor mill kicks into gear. However, in 2019 and beyond, CIG kicked their funding into overdrive, more than doubling the yearly average that they were making from 2013 to 2018. A lot of this is due to the game hitting major milestones and providing a lot of tech that was previously only
was
theoretical.
At the end
Basically,
of the year, though,
they were beginning to prove their game concept and actually make a game that was fun to play. And also, of course, continuing to produce tons of extremely cool spaceships that players could buy with their cold hard cash. And continuing to do so consistently. This year's International Aerospace Expo introduced a new...
Sell me a planet, please? Bro. Don't worry. They will. Okay?
alien ship that is quite frankly stunning in its design and a lot of fun to fly. The idea of flying around the verse in a ship that you call home is extremely appealing to many players, and the new Sulin from Gattac is a ship that can do exactly that, but with alien flair that many players have been craving. CIG's funding since the start of IIE has gone up extremely fast, and it will be interesting to see if it can get close to breaking last year's record. The International Aerospace Expo event is dropping trailers and ships like crazy. Their new Garmin Humble Security Professional videos have been quite entertaining. These little trailers generally serve as hype for upcoming features and gameplay stuff, and his character kind of assumes the role of somebody who might enjoy the security branch of missions in Star Citizen, which involve detaining or putting down the local riffraff. Though his character is sort of a comedic take on somebody taking themselves a little too seriously, giving the kind of advice you might expect from, say, a Steven Seagal self-defense video. It's mostly nonsense, but quite entertaining, and it also shows maybe a little peek about the next phase of bounty hunting and bringing in targets alive. CIG has been teasing Tier 2 bounty hunting for a while, which will be the alive part of the bringing them in dead or alive missions, and using new cryopods to stow criminals on bounty-ready ships. Many players are excited
That's a Titan.
about this prospect as it brings a more hands-on element to bounty missions versus just go somewhere and kill a target. Now, CIG isn't leaving players with just one new ship. The Spirit C1 cargo ship is out as well. It's a bit less exotic than the Sulin, but it fills an incredibly important role of a two-seat ship that can haul and fight its way around missions and gameplay. It seems like 2- and 3-player ships are going to be some of the most popular ships in the game, and CIG is starting to figure that out as they focus on more ships in this market with the recently...
Okay, so 2 and 3 person ships are going to be some of the most popular in game. I find that really interesting because I like them the most, but from their effectiveness, they're so far with every single gameplay loop, they're the least effective. Except for maybe mining, but then who knows with the new mining update or the new mining ship or whatever that's coming, right? So, medical, there is no two-person. I mean, Cutlass Black or Red or whatever. So they don't really do anything special. They're like this middle ground that, it's kind of like the middle child of ships. They just kind of get ignored, it feels like. So I would imagine most players would play solo as well, but it all depends on what people want. I don't know. So I just don't see them as... I see them as popular from this is what people want, but not functional in the way the game works, at least currently. We'll have to see what happens with like engineering and all that stuff and how hard they make it to fly even ships of this size, let alone the really big ones, right?
They announced and of course buyable, or at least concept buyable, Zeus Mark II. They also just launched the Argo SRV, which is debuting ship tractor beams. And while the SRV itself doesn't really have much of a gameplay loop at the moment, other ships have gotten access to their tractor beams, which have shown to be great for loading and unloading cargo from your ship without actually having to leave the ship. Plus, there's also likely more concept sales on the way in the coming week with the RSI mining ship that's sort of been leaked or teased. And players are going to continue to get more...
I mean, I guess I might as well really look at it. Where are the mining lasers, dude? I don't even see them. I feel like this might be like a bait where this isn't even the RSI mining ship and they put it out there and somebody's ass is getting fired or something, like the whatchamacallit, the Nomad mining ship. That was a leak at one point, that the Nomad was actually a mining ship and it ended up being a starter ship. All I see are gun turrets, dude. I don't see any. And what mining ship has gun turrets? None of them. So I don't.
More opportunities to buy the massive ships in the game, like the Kraken, which is essentially a flying aircraft carrier / mobile base. And on top of all of these sales, the game is also barreling towards another patch 3.22, with a tentative launch before the end of the year, which will bring new derelict settlements and gameplay locations to Stanton, along with even more ships like the Santakyai medium fighter built with alien tech and another hover bike from Origin, plus the first iteration of the player hair update that was shown off at CitizenCon. And this would basically mark one of the first main features from CitizenCon coming into the game. One down, like 30 to go in the next 12 months, according to their hopeful timeline anyway. And with the faster than normal progress that Star Citizen is making lately, it seems like the funding will scale with the hype and features as well. I'm of course curious to see if when Squadron 42 finally releases, whether or not they're going to count those sales profits as part of the game's funding.
Bro, they better. They better. Because we have funded this entire game. They better. Because every single dollar that gets earned for this game needs to go back into the game that held it up. Or what? I mean, obviously nothing, dude. What are we going to do, right? We have no power here. But I will make a YouTube video. I will make at least one react, and I will talk about it on Weekend Review. Okay? But people will be pissed off, I think.
Or allow players to see the actual revenue generated from...
I mean, a class action lawsuit? I mean, I don't know. Seems like it could be possible, but what the fuck do I know? I'm not a lawyer.
Sales. I think they should actually keep all of those sales figures open to give players some insight, as we are technically funding the whole game.
Yep. And Calder's will want return on their investment, and they should get it. But outside that, the money that gets earned by this game should go back into Star Citizen's development, because all of Star Citizen's money that's been earned has been put into this game's development. It's just what would be fair, but life's not fair, obviously.
They've already
right?
counted pre-release sales of Squadron 42 towards the funding goals. And if Squadron 42 releases next year, which many people are predicting it could, it would be a major boost to CIG's revenue, which is already incredibly impressive on its own. Now, 2023 isn't over yet, but it does seem to be pushing Star Citizen into a new year that's primed for massive developments and even more money to be made. This game is currently into its 11th year of full development and shows no signs of slowing down in terms of player interest and, of course, money coming in. Let me know in the comments if you think Star Citizen's going to break.
But it's consistently shown signs of its development not really speeding up that much yet. Now we'll see what happens when these people come back from Squadron. We'll have to see. Now, before he ends the video, I'm going to pose a question to you guys. What happens to funding when the game releases? Will it be different? Will it be the same? I don't know. It seems like they're never going to stop selling ships. They're already going down the power creep direction. So, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, how good are the ships going to be? Right? Is it basically going to be similar to like an MMO where your 60 was the original WoW cap, and then expansions come out and the cap got larger and larger and larger for skill gain or whatever? Is that what they're going to do with ships? Or I don't know. It's one of those things where can Star Citizen raise $1 billion before the game comes out? Possibly, probably, if they're going to make $1 million a year, $100 million a year, I should say. But the after is what really matters, not before. So a lot of people are focused on the before. How are they going to make money after? How are they going to keep the servers up? How are they going to maintain the project? That's what I care about. And they're going to, and if they do it by ruining the game like they have in some ways with the ship sales, how good is this game really going to be? Right? I don't know. We'll have to see what they do with reputation and all that stuff, but yeah.
Like $1 billion in funding someday, and also what you think we're going to see first in 2024. And if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to give me a like, hit that sub button, and of course tap the notification bell to beat that YouTube algorithm with me. Up next,
a lot of you guys type submodel. I don't think submodels really work anymore, guys. Like, they don't work for studios, and they don't work. Why do a submodel when you can spend a little bit of time making a little thing in the game and selling it to millions of people just using FOMO?
Check out this video showcasing all of the promised upcoming features for spaceships in Star Citizen. It's pretty freaking massive. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.
They don't work because of greed. No, they don't work because something else is more effective. They don't do a submodel because it's like complaining about the YouTube algorithm. We were talking about that earlier. You can't complain about the YouTube algorithm when the algorithm is your audience. And if your audience didn't like your video, they didn't like your video, dude. Right? If your audience is willing to spend money hand over fist on spaceships, what are you going to do? You're going to sell spaceships. Right? So that's what they did. Their audience was dumb enough to do this. That's what they're going to do. Right, and I'm including myself in that category, right? Ashes of Creation is going subs. Ashes of Creation is not out, and Ashes of Creation is going the old school way, and we'll find out if that works still. Right? WoW does both, yes, but WoW's also old, so we'll have to see. But the most game studios have recognized that the most effective thing to do is use FOMO, and so that's what they do, right? And that's what they'll do. So we'll see, but to answer the question, absolutely, they're going to raise $1 billion, I think, before the game comes out, because does anybody here really think this game is going to be in a releasable state in the next 4 years? Probably not, right? Will it be more playable, more fun? Absolutely. But will it be out, complete, finished, no more funding needed? No shot, right? It may even still be in an alpha state from 4 years from now, given the pace at which they're doing things. So we'll see.